Happy New Year, everyone, and welcome to the preview of Caulfield. As usual, I'm joined by a rather ginned up Darren Potter. Potts, fresh off the back of the controversy that happened yesterday out at Sandown.
Yeah,
what an absolute disaster.
Happy New Year to all our viewers and subscribers, and commiserations to our subscribers that would have suffered at the hands of a bit of further incompetence from officialdom at Sandown, which again is another black eye for an industry that seems to be going from one issue to another. Like when we did the punter show, I asked, are the officials happy with where racing is? Do they think they're getting the best out of it? Well, my opinion is, I didn't answer the question, but my opinion is racing survives despite them.
Yeah.
It's about as bad as it could be. Like, this game could be so much better. It could be so much more interesting and enjoyable, and they could be getting so much more out of it, or more could be gotten out of it for all the punters, all the participants, everyone. It could be an industry like poker that is just, going ahead in such leaps and bounds. It's not funny, but instead we just lurch from one issue to another. And like the current state of play is, so you do the form, the corporates have been able to take control of the market. They've been allowed control of the market. They've been allowed to take what's been, owned by the local authorities and bookmakers and everything for 100 years, and they've been able to take control of it. And they're allowed to put up the markets whenever they please. Yep. So just to pick an example yesterday, Bet365 put up Canvas at $3, okay? Yep. No one I know can take that price. So you've just got to sit back and wait for someone else to put up a price, and then they come in dribs and drabs. So the tab goes up $2.70, then the other's $2.50 or whatever else. So you've got to sort of pick your way through that and try and get your bets on in bits and pieces here and there. And because they're allowed to put the prices up a day or 2 days before the race, they can virtually, like in Bet365 case, knock you back to $5. Yeah. In some of the others, they might bet you to win 500. Yeah. So you sort of got to chip your way through it, do your best. And so that's the first problem. I'm saying to the authorities, why don't you take control of this and tell them when they've got to put the prices up? Why do we have to start betting on Wednesday for Saturday? Why don't you designate the time that all of those corporates have to put the price up, and then put some rules in place where they have to bet people, where they can't, like at the moment, like if I want to, they put the markets up Wednesday, so I start chipping around things. Yeah. I've got to keep doing a little piece at a time, a piece here and a piece there, and there are dozens and dozens of people like me that would be much prefer it if all the prices went up either Friday morning or Saturday morning or throughout Friday or so. Like, think about it, come up with something that's actually designed to increase and promote turnover.
Well, it's funny you mention that, Potts, because as you know, I'm still a clerk and I still go to the races very often. If you don't have the prices up on your board on course 20 minutes before the race, the supervisor will come over and tell you to put your prices up. So because the bookmakers down here are licensed by the state, they can then tell you when you've got to have your prices up or when you can't bet.
Which is exactly how it should be. And they've got the racefield legislation to deal with these corporates and take control back of their own industry and our own pricing.
And their product.
And stop letting it be like completely stifled by these people. They are stifling what should be a fantastic and intriguing game. Like, I'm not betting, it's such a battle to get your money on. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because by the time that race comes around yesterday, because of the way it works, by the time we get the betting, the best price bet on track's $1.80, and I'm not betting anymore. It's exhausted. I got about half the money on that horse that I wanted to have on it. So it's just one example, and it happens repeatedly. It just happens, every meeting. So that's all I'm saying. First of all, that's the situation with betting. It's out of our hands. There are no rules in place for these corporates. They're allowed to put prices up and then not bet them. I mean, who thinks that's a good idea? Well, can someone tell me, can Bernard Saundry or someone in his team tell me that they think that's a good idea, that these corporates are allowed to put prices up and then not bet them?
The money's not moving around in a circular fashion like it used to. It used to go round and round and round till everyone was comfortable with the liability that they were standing the horse for, and then whatever was sort of left over got dumped into the totes. Whereas now, you can put up, if you're a corporate, and some are better than others, but you can essentially put up the price now to essentially put a feeler out to see if you've got the right price, and then if one of the shooties comes on to try and take it, well, you just knock them back to next to nothing and you turn the price off. Now, that's like the situation yesterday.
Half the time they knock you back and don't even turn the price off.
That's bizarre. I'm not sure why. I can't understand why you wouldn't want to cop a tip. And B, if you are happy with the price, then it shouldn't matter who you lay it to. But you've got to. There's a few things that are going on in the racing industry, Potts, and I'm sure you'll agree with me, that are pretty much un-Australian at the minute.
Yeah.
Like, people aren't getting a fair go. Like, we were on, and there was all your subscribers, and there were plenty of other people that backed that horse. Like, it was a reasonably well-backed horse yesterday, Tiggity. And, like, he's the most unfortunate horse I've ever seen in my life, because it took him ages to break his maiden.
And then it was a dead heat.
Yeah. And then you get a situation like that, where the second the horse stepped down onto the track, we had none.
So we just went through the issues with betting. Then you get your bet on. Then you have a situation where you back a horse. You expect to collect 15 units for all of our subscribers. So I just did some rough calculations with the number of subscribers and the sort of betting they do. I reckon that cost our group of subscribers about 40 grand. So there's a group of people that are going to go into Saturday on the back foot, feeling like they've been touched, rather than having a good winning day and feeling optimistic. So we still had a small winning day, but it felt to me, it felt like a losing day in the circumstances. So it's very disappointing, and it's just because there's no other way to describe it, but unprofessional and incompetent. So I don't care what their explanation is, it's completely incompetent for that to happen.
The thing is, I don't know why they don't open this up, Potts. Apparently they've got these new electronic scales that do a printout now. Yeah. How hard is it with a smartphone to take a picture of that, put it up on Twitter, put it up on racing.com, put it up on the website so everyone can see it? That way, if you're sitting at home, you're looking at it and go, right, I'm just going to check these as a matter of course of what I'm doing to make sure that it's right. And then you might be alerted that there's something happening. But I mean, in this day and age, it's ridiculous.
Well, they're saying that it's human error, right? So given that these things are only ever going to happen because of human error, the rules are wrong. To me, it should be a no race, really. If the winner goes across the line and weighs in light, it should be a no race. I'm not saying that it should be a late scratching and declared. I reckon the whole race should be void. Because you've had a horse go round, interfere with the other runners. That is not part of the race. It's a very poor situation.
And the other thing with that is, Potts, that's probably one of the few ways that the people that come up with this argument that it's an integrity issue and that they'll plunge a horse and if it gets beat, well then he'll throw a lead weight away on the way back to scale. Like, it's not 1962 anymore. Like, that just wouldn't happen.
To me, it's a different circumstance whether it's the winner or a place getter. So they're not going to do that if it wins, are they? No. So, I mean, anyway, look, it's a completely unacceptable situation. Here we are all trying to be very professional, and the people running racing are letting us down. So, we go on forever, but then you've got the whip rules, which are again artificially creating unfair circumstances in racing. I feel incredibly sorry for the jockeys. They're riding perfectly good races and then getting criticised for it. Like what Steve Bassett did was he rode that horse exactly as it should be ridden. It's outside the rules, but he rode it as it needed to be ridden, and he gets a fine and criticised. Ben Mellon rode the second horse beautifully.
Yeah.
He gets a severe reprimand and criticised. Damien Lane was doing anything he could to try and control Luke's. He gets a severe reprimand. I mean, like, honestly, do the people that make these rules not care about jockeys?
Well, this is my question for Racing Australia, Potts. I want someone from Racing Australia to explain to me how you can have the same set of whip rules for the flat knacker over 900 at Albury as the Grand Annual Steeplechase at Warrnambool. Yeah. I want someone to explain that to me, because you've just come in with a blanket rule and you're going to have some leeway. It's not working.
Well, staying races are completely different in nature. The horses are completely different in nature. The jockeys have got to be given some leeway. The rules need to be altered for staying races. Well, right, they can get away with the rules as they are for anything below 1,600 metres, but once you're above 2,000 metres, these horses, you might as well not have the races at the moment. But particularly this time of year when we're talking about slower horses. So.
Would yearling boys be treated like this, Potts?
Anyway. I mean, look, that's our whinging. So
Yeah.
we've got it off our chest.
We've vented,
and
yeah.
I've done it for our subscribers because, as I said, like we've got a nice group of subscribers. They don't deserve what they copped yesterday, and we should be going into the weekend off a really good win. And the other thing, part of it that really annoys me, last whinge, is the commentators that we've got covering racing. All they wanted to go on yesterday about was how bad Jake Bayless would feel. Fuck Jake Bayless, honestly. It's the punters you should care about. They're the customers. Okay, Jake Bayless came out and rode the last winner. Thanks, Jake. You know, you rode it centimetre perfect. Sorry.
Is that the rider of Tiggy?
Jai McNeil. Sorry, take that back. Jai McNeil rode pretty little centimetre perfect to knock us off in the last, just to really finish us off. So, you know, it's the punters and the customers that are getting the raw end of this pineapple, not the jockeys.
And the weather's been reasonably summery, Pots, without being stinking hot for the last few days, and we've had a couple of showers here and there, so Caulfield should have no excuses to be anything other than perfect, shouldn't it?
Perfect racing weather, perfect track. Before we start jumping, I just want to say we've had a Twitter correspondent out there.
Oh, have we?
He said to us, do these two clowns sleep in their hats?
Yes, we do.
So I thought, okay, no, I don't sleep in that. I'll take the hat off for you, mate. There you go. Hats off. And I'm predicting, Juppy. I'm making a prediction.
Yep.
Okay, right now. Let's go to Twitter. Let's have a look at Twitter. I can see there at Twitter right now. He's just gone. The bloke's just gone. He's gone, oh no, I've made a mistake. Put the hats back on.
Yeah, so hats back on.
Hats
There's
back
the
on.
reason why we wear hats.
There you go.
So, yeah, and the weather's going to be mild, mid-20s for the rest of the week. Pots, and then it'll warm up next week, so it should be perfect, and it's just how much irrigation they'll put on in the next darts, I would imagine, but it shouldn't need a whole heap because it's not as if it's been hugely drying.
Caulfield's great. The trainers, they're all trying to get it watered to the death, but the team there at Caulfield are outstanding. They'll present a good track. It'll be perfect, I would think. I'm not expecting anything other. It could dry out late in the day. But, you know, you have to make that judgment when you're seeing it. It's hard to predict on them.
Well, if there's a slight breeze and the weather's mild, the track's going to dry out because they just drain like that, don't they, Pot? So, but at least we're going and expecting that rather than having something else happen.
Yeah, it's a 5-minute rail. That's the best rail at Caulfield. There's just no reason to let any gremlins get into your head. So just start off.
And we haven't had 6 inches of rain like those poor buggers up there in Sydney.
Yeah.
Race one's the Louise Chapel Plate over 1,000 metres. We've got Moshway $9, China Dream $4.80, Gatlinburg $5, Jackanory $6, the Seductress $8.50, Najmat $5, and Tokaloo $5.
Yeah, we've got, these are 2-year-olds at 1,000. We've got 3 of them that have had a go, I think. None of them have done anything, so won't be a hard race for a first starter to win. So I've sort of gone looking for the first starters. The Caulfield group, China Dream and Jackanory trialled on the poly, and it was a hard trial to read. They went okay. China Dream was the best. Gatlinburg's had quite a few. He's just been fair. Mrs. Martin was only fair, so I couldn't really get excited about any of the home track first starters. So I went off looking at the Flemington ones, and the 2 fillies from Flemington, Najmat and Tequila, went quite well. They jumped out on the 30th together, and there was nothing between them on the line. Tequila had the advantage of having had a bit more experience, and she was squeezed through the trial, whereas Najmat just looked a complete natural to me. Looked to be completely coasting, and I had the feeling if she had been squeezed, she would have just careered away. So I'm sort of, they're 2-year-olds. You're always having a bit of guesswork, but Najmat looks the standout in this race to me. I'm surprised at the early price, and I think she'll win.
There you go, punters. Race 2 is the Chris Bothrod handicap over a mile, and we have Koodalin $8.50, Anaphora $3.30, Yellen $3.50, Candiana $3, and Preppy down the bottom at $15. Some converging form lines.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Well, the starting point here, Juppy, is the map. There's no leader here. poor old Yellen's in another race without a leader. If she had to get left in front again, I reckon you'd see Justine Hales going into some sort of epileptic fit. But I would imagine Ben Mellon will be making sure that doesn't happen. So Preppy's the fastest horse in this race, like early speed. So I suppose she'll lead. Anaphora's more than capable of going over and racing on pace, and I think that'd be a good idea in this race. Canny sort of likes to find a feat, but then she's got a mid-race squirt that, she won't be far away. So I think it all looks good for Anaphora. I think she's coming through the best form line. She's a 4-year-old mare racing in her career spot where they normally can string a few wins together. With any luck, she would have won her last two. She's just been desperately unlucky, really.
She probably could have nearly won her last 4, couldn't she, Potts?
Yeah. She wasn't particularly well ridden last start. You got to let the leaders get away from him. But I could see her going up outside the lead here and just being extremely hard to get past. So she has to be favourite to me, and I think she's the most likely winner of the race. Canny joined the Weir stable 3 in a row, improving every run. Dropped back from 1600 to 1500, comes back to 1600, which is suitable for a Weir runner. She's got to improve again, but she's a Weir runner and they can. So yep. I'm not knocking her, but I think Anaphora should be favourite, not her. And Yellen's sort of starting to look a bit tired this prep, but if she can get a set and get things to... She's looked very uncomfortable when she's been left in front. She just hasn't suited her at all. So if she can get a set and a drag into the race, she could appear late. So she's some hope, I suppose.
Race 3 is the Swettenham Studs Summer Championship Heat 7 over 1800. Garood 7, Profit Share 360, Tashby 265, Master East at 8, Rivers Lane 13, Radical 650, and Big Odds the bottom 2.
Yeah, I like this race. There's one thing that I would like that I'm not getting, but it might be better. I might be best left to the experts here. The starting point in this race is Tashby, right? He's favourite. And to me, he showed signs of decline late in the race. He won at Flemington.
Yep.
When Sadaka got far too close to him. Like, Tashby was flying, he got the perfect run. He just ran up to win that race easily, and late he just didn't look right. And I felt a bit uncomfortable about tipping him at Caulfield at the next run, but sort of was hard not to. He ended up being heavily backed. His run wasn't awful, but he never ever looked a winning chance.
Yeah.
So to me, he's a horse that was on the way up, and he's definitely on the way down here, and I think he's easy to oppose, really, as favourite. I'm not saying he's not a winning chance. I just think he's more like about a 7-2 chance than a
6-4, 7-4 chance.
Yeah. So I'm betting around him, and the horse I really want to back here is Profit Share. And what I say I'm not getting here is I love the way the young kid has ridden him at Warrnambool his last 2 starts.
I actually met Kyle Maskell at Warrnambool after he rode him, and I think he's going to go a long way, that boy's.
Well, he's shown good signs. I mean, this is not an easy horse to ride, and he has just done everything right on this horse. So Harry can do it too. I'm sure Harry's been watching and knows how to ride this horse, but Jesus looks a good race for Profit Share. If he's well ridden and he settles like he has for the kid at Warrnambool, he just looks the winner, really. He just looks a really good bet. So I think the main danger really here is Radical. He's a lightly raced 4-year-old, the lightest raced 4-year-old in the race. He did enough first up, and he really improved sharply second up last prep when he won at Moonee Valley. So I could see him, and he was strong late, so I could see him sort of sneaking into the race, and if Profit Share starts to wobble at the 1800 or he over races, which he can do, I could see Radical being strong late here. But to me, Profit Share will hit the front on the turn or just after, and he'll look all over a winner, and he'll probably win. And
Radical's form could be frank the race before it. Canny comes out and wins because he got beaten behind it last start. So
yeah. I mean, it was Radical had a really big weight that day, and they sort of just they let him go around for fitness. It's not really a form reference. as much. But you know, I'm really looking at how much he improved second up at Moonee Valley last prep, Justin.
Yeah.
So.
And the other thing with profit share is I'm pretty sure it's being set for the Koroit Cup because it's going. There's like 3 small cups there at Warrnambool over the summertime. So I think that's where he's heading to next. But
is that a 2,000 metre race? Or?
I think so.
Right.
Geez, I wish he got beat at Warrnambool last start day, Potts, because I was on Mr. Journeyman for plenty.
Oh.
Story of how it's been going for the last couple of months.
Well, you can thank that kid because he got every inch out of profit share there.
That's what I said to him. I said that was just unbelievable. I don't think there would have been too many others that would have got him home. Race falls to Helen Cox handicap over 1800. Yulon Baby 290. Bullish Dot 12. Iron Spider 650. Tempered 11. Flying Light 330. Olon Era is 11. Precarious is 11 and a $15 Xanderale.
Before we just do this race, we should just give the PBL chat room a plug and mine and Johnny Walter's set. So you can either buy mine and John's on the day. You can buy it a year in advance. You can do. There's all sorts of things you can do. I don't know. Then there's the PBL chat room, which you get not only the sets, but you get the updates from the mounting yard, the bedding, and track patterns, all that sort of stuff throughout the day.
And every now and again, Potts, you get a cryptic tip from me.
Yeah, like, what was it?
All I wrote was sign off on Boxing Day, and then Potts replied back, was that a question or a statement? And it turns out that I'd actually laid it to Darren with his mum up at Kerrang. But there's a heap of information there, and it is a good way to spend a Saturday too.
In hindsight, Juppy, there was no excuse for me not to pay more attention at 40 to 1, really. Anyway, I didn't.
And the other thing that I want to push with this, Potts, is if you can get on with all the corporates, there is a ton of value in the early sets.
Yep.
Some of the stuff that Potts tips up in those early sets genuinely start half the price, and there's a huge amount that if you can chip away, if you've got a set of accounts and then you just use dynamic odds or something like that, one of the odds comparison sites, Odds Checker or Dynamic, go through, compare the prices, and if you can get them on, they normally come out for Saturday on a Thursday night. If you can then, I do that on a Thursday night, you go through and you pick the eyes out of the ones that Potts send through, you know that come Saturday, like 99 times out of 100, the worst that's going to happen is it's probably going to start the same price that you've tipped at that Potts. But it's very rarely that Potts is going to tip one that, say he tips one at $6 that then starts 12. It just doesn't happen that often. More likely than that's the case is he tips under $6 and starts $3.40.
Yeah, I particularly, when I'm doing those early prices, Juppy, I'm looking for the ones that I know the big pros are going to target.
Yeah.
So, if I use Batterjoss as an example last week, I thought he was a really good winning chance in the race.
Yeah.
Right? I didn't think he was a certainty, but I knew the big pros were going to target him. He was third up, he had the blinkers on, the big weight drop. There was just a whole bunch of factors that they were all going to find him and back him heavily. And when we set the set out on Saturday morning last week, it was 460 across the board, and I think he started 280.
Yeah.
Well, it might have even been shorter. Anyway,
or even the 2 winners yesterday, Potts, that you sent out the day before in Candace and is it Khalifa or
Kafar?
Kafar, both of them started a hell of a lot shorter than what was advised at the time. So there's plenty of value in that if you can get on. So and that you then get to spend Saturday afternoon with us, Potts, which is always enjoyable.
Definitely, I would say I've said this to a lot of guys that I've talked to. They've contacted me directly about my sets. There's a lot of the value in my sets comes with taking those early prices. And you can do them Saturday morning, and there's usually still a few there that there's opportunity still. So anyway, it's a great point you make. Anyway, so we're into race 4 here. Another really interesting race because we've got form lines coming from all sorts of angles here. We've got up and coming 3-year-olds and horses off their maiden, and a mare like Yulong Baby that's been around for a while and coming off a really good win. Xanderale from Warrnambool, Flying Lights had a long prep, and here he is again. So it's a really interesting race.
Scratch from yesterday to run here.
Yeah, so interestingly, he was scratched yesterday, Flying Light Jumping, because they couldn't get a shoe on him. So they reckon it's all okay now. I'm listening to Tom Davidic now, but that's not something that would encourage me to back this horse.
No.
So I think he's taking up too much percentage in this market flying light.
Yeah.
To me, he's got signs of a horse that, you know, he hasn't been able to win this prep. He's run a number of good races, but to me, he looks like he could be on the decline. So I'm more than happy to bet around him.
And he has been up for a while too.
He's had a good long prep. So starting point's got to be Yulong Baby. She's a really consistent mare. Once she gets up to this distance range, she just runs well all the time. She really hit the line in great style winning at Caulfield last start. So the trainer's worried about the track drying out and being too hard for her, but like I can't see any evidence of that. So I'm just, you know, until I see something different, she just looks to be the horse to beat here and you know, a really strong winning chance. Of the up and comers, I think the one that's good odds is it Precarious? Is that how we say it, or Precarious? Really good first up run when he sort of charged home at, was it Mornington or Cranbourne? It was one of those. Mornington. He come to Sandown, got up outside the lead, and it was just a really good, tough maiden win. It was at 1400. It had Get Me Up in Distance written all over it.
Yeah.
And I think he's a horse that can improve really nicely up in distance. You know, he might not be seasoned enough to win this race, but he's double figure odds. He's probably going to lead, and I want him on my side at that sort of price range for sure. Iron Spider's run a couple of really good races against the bias. One at Cranbourne, I think, and then at Sandown. He was probably a bit stiff not to beat Spread Eagle at Sandown, who ran another good race yesterday. So Iron Spider's form's thereabouts. So he's definitely a winning chance here.
And it's mid-can, so you just market support can be the key there too.
Yeah, he sort of found his price, but I wouldn't be surprised to see him fluctuate a bit on Saturday in the market. But I wouldn't be surprised to see interest in bullish stock.
Yep.
Tempered from the Ellen and Zara camp, who were just flying. Wasn't much of a win last start, but I wouldn't be surprised to see him supported. Zanderell's got some credentials as an improver. So it's a really interesting race. Not sure what direction the market's going to go in, but the two horses I'm mostly looking to are Yulong Baby and Precarious.
We're just going to take a quick break and we'll come back with the last 5 races on the card, including the quaddie.